We're going to be talking walking in just a moment, in particular the Camino de Santiago. If you've done that walk in Spain, I'd love to hear from you this morning. Apparently it is just amazing. For centuries, the 800-kilometre pilgrimage has been a life-changing experience. All those who travel its path are changed in some way, great or small, and Melbourne filmmakers have documented the journey of 6 Australians and Kiwis, each battling their own unique tales of grief, loss and personal illness. ABC Gippsland producer Clare Graham spoke with the film's co-director and cinematographer Noel Smyth about the making of the film and why countless people have been flocking to Spain to take on the trek for the past 2,000 years.
The Camino gives you this kind of consciousness or awareness.
Every day you walk more than a half marathon for 33, 35 days.
It's about walking in nature, listening to the sound of the birds.
We'll get to stay over.
I'm going to die.
Unfortunately, we turned right.
I see a path, I see a path.
When we went out of the hostel, we should have turned left. Oh, I'll just keep going.
It is what it is.
We're not going back anyway.
I'm not walking back.
And here we are. Paul always said, you're born alone, you die alone. That is true. And on that note...
Camino Skies it's an uplifting look at learning to live with grief. I first heard about the Camino de Santiago through my wife, who had walked it 10 years earlier, and she has told me all these incredible stories about what a life-changing experience the Camino was for her. Fast forward 10 years, and I hadn't really thought about it much more since then. And my co-director, Fergus Grady, one day asked what I thought about doing a film on the Camino. And so we started looking into it, and we were just immediately drawn to finding out what brings people there every year. Each year, hundreds of thousands of people walk this 800-kilometre pilgrimage, some for religious reasons, some for spiritual reasons, some for just a physical challenge. But there definitely seemed to be this common thread of searching for meaning, or even just trying to work through personal problems. But once we sort of realised how many people do it and continue to do it, people go back again and again, we were just immediately drawn to that and knew that we wanted to make a film about people that walk it and their reasons for doing so.
And I know it's hard, you can't sort of choose your favourite child or anything like that, but did you have a favourite among the group or someone that sort of resonated with you?
We all get along really well. I particularly got along well with Julie and Sue. I think for me, I don't know, I just find them incredible women, incredibly inspirational women in different ways. You know, they're funny, they're charming, they just have an attitude towards life that I think is very much in line with my own. One takeaway that I took from this film is that grief, there's no closure for grief. It never ends, but there is a moment there towards the end where it feels somewhat like closure and the start of a new chapter.
Yeah, that's definitely what I took from it as well. And then Susan, her story was so inspiring. She proved, physical disabilities don't always have to hold you back.
Yeah, we walked with Sue, not every day. Every day we'd choose different people to sort of walk along with, but throughout the entire shoot, walking with her, she was just amazing to watch. You see those moments where she breaks down from pain in the film, but what I don't think the film conveys is the fact that she was in that sort of pain every single day. She would wake up in that pain and walk through it. And, and it was her way of, I guess, throwing up a middle finger to what life was dealing her and just living it on her own terms. And
yeah, she had such a great attitude. She just kept going, and that's the thing I just couldn't believe.
We were exhausted, but it was one thing for us to be exhausted, and then you'd see Sue get up and have another day of walking through the pain, and you'd sort of say, oh, well, okay, I should be quiet now because I'm not in pain like Sue, and she's getting on with it. She was just incredible. Everybody was incredible to follow, really, and the big thing about the Camino is that everybody has a story, and everybody's walking through something, and sometimes you catch a glimpse of that, and other times, hopefully, you're fortunate enough to have these conversations with people, and some are strangers, some are friends, but you can definitely come away with more empathy towards everybody, really.
Yeah, for sure. And after walking the Camino yourself, what do you find so intriguing about the experience?
I'd say the biggest takeaway for me was that it just teaches you to slow down, to be open to new conversations, to really, it forced me to think about what I actually love doing, and it reinforced a lot of things for me. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the time I had.
And the other thing I found amazing about the film was how something as simple as walking, something most of us have access to on a daily basis, can be so rewarding, almost transforming grief and loss into something much more positive.
Yeah,
was that the aim of the film, and do you think you achieved it?
Yeah, I think a big part of the film going into it was trying to capture something about walking that just forces people into their own heads, or if you're walking along with someone, suddenly people feel really comfortable sharing really intimate stories. And I put it down to not having to make eye contact, and then also a lot of the time you're sort of doing stuff with your hands if you've got walking poles, and so that helps. But it's almost like similar to if you're on a road trip and you're just driving with somebody, not having to look at them, but you're just making conversation as you go along, and that just leads to some really, really open conversations. And going into it, we wanted to capture that sense of those conversations and make it almost bring in a little bit of, just that ongoing dialogue. And so that was a big reason why we knew that we had to walk the whole thing with our characters, because we just couldn't get that. We didn't want to just meet with people along the way and sit down for an interview and then meet them again, drive along and meet them again later on. We wanted to be there for those little kind of in-between moments where, I feel like, in my opinion, people say so much more.
That was ABC producer Clare Graham speaking with Noel Smyth, the co-director and cinematographer behind a new documentary called Camino Skies. It's all about 6 Australians and Kiwis who take on the 800-kilometre trek across Spain, a massive month-long journey to help in their healing from the tragic loss of loved ones and the many battles we face as we grow older.